What makes a refrigerator simple? Is it the lack of features, no buttons, Wi-Fi, drawers and shelves? We could debate that for a while, but one refrigerator has had my interest for quite some time, and it's this one right here. A few months ago, I got a hold of this FRSG2115AV, and it is the #1 rated side-by-side refrigerator when we did our refrigerator rankings last year, and I've always wanted to get one of these in stock to review. This is one of the most basic side-by-sides on the market that you're going to find, so let's review it. First, the specifications on this side-by-side refrigerator. It's counter depth and it's 21.7 cubic feet in volume. It has a standard width of just under 36 inches wide, and it's under 70 inches tall, and finally 29 inches deep, and that includes the doors of the unit. Shelving and bin-wise, it has quite a few. It has 3 adjustable shelves in the freezer and 1 crisper drawer. The freezer side is pretty narrow at 12 inches from my measurements, but on the refrigerator side, you get 3 adjustable shelves, 2 crisper drawers, and both sides have 4 door bins that aren't adjustable. There's not a lot else to this unit other than the fact that the refrigerator side is about 17 inches wide, so the fridge side is quite a bit roomier than the freezer. I am a sucker for recessed handles, and this has more recesses in it than my kids incessantly watching Cocomelon for hours on end. It has 1 pocket in the middle of the freezer, while the refrigerator side runs the entire length of the refrigerator. And they also have recessed pockets at the top if you needed to open it that way, and on the bottom as well. Another side of this is how the doors swing outward to the sides. There's about 2 inches of room on each side of this when the doors are fully open, and it's also garage ready as well on the sensor suit. Otherwise, there's just not a lot to talk about on this unit. The only other real feature on this refrigerator is the interface here, which is the temperature adjustment control system. It's a touch button interface on the front. It only features 4 modes for the fridge and freezer, then a power, cool, and vacation mode. And that's really it on the refrigerator. So how am I going to make a video on this basic refrigerator worth your time? Well, let's tear the fridge down and talk about why it may be worth your time, because there are some fascinating things inside this refrigerator that you're not going to see if you just go to the store and buy it. And for reference, this refrigerator is not the easiest one to find at stores. You can't find it at Lowe's. It's available from Home Depot, and probably I'd say my preferred company, Best Buy, for this. I will have links to the companies on where you can buy it or view it online, and the current effective retail price on it's about $899, putting it at one of the cheapest side-by-sides on the market. Firstly, this unit is easily the most simple, or one of the most simple units ever made. This is the tech sheet that comes with it, and this is the entire schematic that you're going to find on the entire unit. This is every single part that's hidden inside the refrigerator. When we got this refrigerator, I decided to basically cut out 1 full day of being able to tear this fridge apart to film everything inside of it. And the thing is, it came apart so easily, so fast. It took me about 30 minutes to strip everything from this unit. I've never seen documentation on this on how you take anything apart. It is the easiest fridge to service, I think, in the world. Everything comes apart very easily, which is a huge win in my book. But how does it run? Well, I can tell you that we've been running this refrigerator behind the scenes for about 4 or 5 months, and guess what? It cools things down. We use this refrigerator to store all the ice from our ice maker shootout video, which required a large thermal load to be put in it. And we also used it quite a bit for an upcoming indoor smoker video that I'm working on. And our staff has been using this to store their items from time to time. Beyond that, I'm not sure what else to say about the fact that this refrigerator works and it wasn't annoying, which is what you want a refrigerator to do. We did install temperature monitors in the cabinet a few days back to track the temperatures in the unit. We saw good temperatures in the freezer over 2 days, averaging 0.8 degrees Fahrenheit on the tests while we programmed it to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. There's about a 2-degree variation plus or minus other than the defrost that we saw running on the unit. The refrigerator actually saw even better variation, which I was surprised at because we didn't load it with as much items as we did the freezer. In the refrigerator segment, it varied about 1.25 degrees over the 3 or 4 days that we tested it. We had it set to 38 degrees and it ran about 37.3 degrees on average over the 2 or 3 days that we tested the sensors. One thing I will note about this is that there is a slight drawback on this style refrigerator, and the fact it only has 3 or 4 sensors in the entire refrigerator in which to monitor temperatures in defroster as well as humidity. So there is the slight trade-off in this refrigerator that you're not going to get nearly as much customizability on zone control. Some people may like this, some people may have a little bit of issues with the temperature variation, but at least from the tests we did on this, we had no problems in terms of variation. One comment I'm going to probably get about this or just any refrigerator is the question of noise in this. Truth is, I wasn't able to use a decibel meter to track the sound of the machine. Quite frankly, it is so quiet. The air conditioning system above the refrigerator is louder than anything this fridge had during its operation. And this is where the teardown starts coming into play, because this refrigerator is optimized heavily for noise. So let's go over and discuss some of the components. First, when I started to take the front of the machine off, there are only 3 panels in total in the machine that cover everything. You have one up here for the damper system in the fridge, and then 2 in the freezer. This is the main one in the freezer part. There's only 1 or 2 moving parts in the fridge between the damper and the fan. The number of parts on this machine feel like it's in the single digits. The evaporator fan we have here is a brushless DC system. It's very, very quiet, and it's one of the benefits you do get when you have a control board ran system instead of an AC motor. Keeping with how quiet the unit is, though, it brings us to the back of the refrigerator, and this is where I think things get very, very interesting on this. Even though this is a lower priced unit, it does have something behind it that is very fascinating. This system has almost nothing behind it, which makes me excited. This uses ambient air to cool the compressor down, so there's less worry about dirt clogs behind the unit. On top of that, the coils are integrated into the chassis of the unit. There are literally no coils that you have to clean. It still requires some form of airflow underneath though, so it does need 2 inches of clearance on the back of the unit and 1 inch on the sides. But where I find this system to be by far the most fascinating, it uses an inverter-based compressor system. Now at this point, some people are going to be shocked, angry, disappointed, and others may be excited, and this is why the board here matters. Unlike other basic systems out there, the compressor simply doesn't turn all the way on or all the way off when it needs to cool. Instead, the control board here sends a variable signal to the compressor, allowing it to run at different speeds based on how much you have put on in the fridge that needs cooling. This is why the refrigerator has a power cool setting. It forces the unit to run consistently at 100% for a period of time. The other advantage to this is that the noise of the compressor is lower because it cycles slower more often, so it doesn't have the same volume as a regular single-speed compressor that locks in at 100% of the time, which is why many appliances are going over to inverters. But the biggest advantage may be the energy efficiency. Running a motor at 50% of peak power is more electrically efficient than running the compressor at 100% for just half the time. This unit only uses 529 kilowatt hours of electricity per year, which is about a 12 to 14% reduction compared to other Frigidaire or other Whirlpool models on the market, and that would go for other units that don't use an inverter motor. But this does lead to a few different questions that I had about the machine when I was tearing it down because of the mismatched parts on it and the fact that it used an inverter board. This unit is ending up to be quite a bit different than anything else Frigidaire has put on the market, and the compressor under analysis is interesting, which gets us to a interesting part of the video, and that is that this isn't a Frigidaire. Nope, Frigidaire didn't make this unit at all. When I took it apart, I always love to look at the part numbers for each item such as that on the board, and when I started looking at the numbers, it didn't make a lot of sense. Part numbers tell you a lot about who makes the actual appliance, and each company has its own custom codes, and this unit has a lot of FF2 labels on it. And if you grew up in America in the 90s, you know that FF2 in the US really means that it's FF4 in Japan, which is to say you don't really know what it truly is. Jokes aside though, there are multiple pieces in the teardown analysis that show the actual manufacturer of this refrigerator. and I believe that is Homa of China. It looks very similar to their FF2-90 with an alternate location for the UI. You find other sides of the refrigerator being assembled from a few different sources as well, because for example, you have the Giapera compressor on it, which is not a Frigidaire design, it's a Whirlpool design, but it's also used in incandescent refrigerators. Does that mean anything? I don't know if that does, because Bosch, GE, and Sharp use Giapera compressors as well, so it's not an unreliable compressor by example, but you know that it's a Chinese compressor. Is this a problem though for the refrigerator, given the fact that there are seemingly a lot of Chinese components in it? It's hard to say. The biggest problem you run into with any refrigerator is warranty support. Is Frigidaire going to support this thing 5 or 10 years down the road? Some of the parts on the machine do share commonality with other Frigidaire products. For example, the sensors and the fans are similar to other FFHT top mount freezer refrigerators, so it does look like they're available on the market. The fit and finish of this unit reminds me a lot of the Hisense reviews that I've done in the past, which in general, I like Hisense for a lower priced brand. I think it's decently well built, but it's certainly not going to be the fit and finish from some of the mainline Frigidaire refrigerators out there, like the Frigidaire GRSN2620 or the FRSS26. If you need a counter depth refrigerator like the one we have here, the options tend to be a bit more restrictive, and I think that this refrigerator fits the role really well. It's still one of, if not the highest consumer rated counter depth refrigerators on the market, but there could be time for consumers to change the feedback in their mind. But the juxtaposition between very few moving parts on this and the fact that it has this inverter board is very fascinating from a design perspective of simple yet advanced. One caveat I do have with the board's build quality is that most of the relays and capacitors are documented with brand names other than the Johansson dielectric capacitors that handle the inverter. They look to be very high quality, but I can't say that about the other relays because I just don't know. Now, I do have some questions about the service longevity of the unit, given the fact that it's pretty clear that Frigidaire didn't make this. But one huge advantage you have of this being a Frigidaire brand over some of the other possible models out there that are private labeled is that Frigidaire tends to stand behind their products instead of, say, Hamilton Beach that has a very similar version to this. For some people, this fridge is going to be super attractive for their use case. I would say go for it if it fits your bill. However, given the fact that these parts aren't cross-compatible with a huge number of units, it may be difficult to find parts after 12 or 15 years from purchase, but that could change if they continue to make units similar to this. Overall, I really like this unit and the fact I've been using it for months, but I can understand if there are other units on the market that you'd prefer. However, for the price, there's not a lot out there until you get past $1,000 that makes sense from Frigidaire or potentially GE. But if it's between this, Hisense, Midea, and some of the other brands out there that are very price competitive, I think that this makes for a very fascinating, very efficient purchase, especially if noise is a huge consideration for you in a counter depth model. Hopefully you like this review. Again, I'll have the links to where you can buy this from Best Buy and some of the other places in the description, as well as a pinned comment. If you have any other questions about this fridge, I still have it. I got to put it back together, and I'll probably be using it a little bit more to keep things cold. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you for the next review. Now I got to spend all of 15 minutes putting this thing back together.